Just one more reading. The wisdom of Jesus, transforming heart and mind. Unveiling love. If my heart is correct, you can see how it significantly rearranged the playing field. Our earthly existence then is not about good behavior and preparation for our final judgment. It's not a finishing school in which we learn what we need to learn, nor a sweatshop in which we work off our karmic debt. Right here and now, we are the processes of speaking into being the relation of God's most hidden and intimate name. That's a difficult assignment, particularly when success and failure must wind up being the complete opposite of what we would normally expect in life. But the most productive orientation for our time here is not to focus on how quickly we can get back to our spiritual homeland, but to give ourselves fully to the divine intimacy being ventured right here and now. We might reassure ourselves that in some conscious or deeply transconscious way, we have chosen to bear our part in what the mystical tradition calls the suffering of God, the coastlines that is always involved in the full manifestation of the divine love. We're doing it here and now through the marrow of our own human lives, consciously living it. And these space-time conditions, as fragile and as frustrating as they are precisely the conditions which allow it to happen. As the poet Dylan Thomas expressed it in beautiful lines with which the chapter began, time held me green and dying, though I sung in my chains like the sea. It is the reality of the chains that creates the beauty of the song. Meditator as bridge. From a God's eye view of creation, the real oppression and challenge is not sin and evil. It is posed by the vast and unequal energetic frequencies between the realms. How can the sun touch a snowflake? How can the divine radiance meet and interpenetrate created life without incinerating it? This is the ultimate metaphysical question, to which Christianity proposes as its solution the mystery of the incarnation. This realization in turn opens up a whole new line of insight into John's statement, "For God so loved the world that he gave his only Son." The Son is, in the wider metaphysical context, is no longer the one who bails us out or who rescues us from our fallen state, but the one who becomes our bridge between the realms. Recognize the enormous difficult of our mission. Jesus comes to accompany us on it, advocating for our human finitude in a way that respects its integrity but doesn't allow us to get trapped in it. As in the traditional theological understanding, but with a very different flavor, he becomes our meditator. Standing at the confluence of two vastly different orders of being, he offers his own life as the sanctuary between them. Becoming our flame. As we have seen already, these great metaphysical paradoxes lend themselves more easily to poetry and metaphor than the theological scalpel. One of the most classic images Christian mystics have used to portray this cosmic meditation is actually variants from the Old Testament in the book of Exodus. The story is told of how Moses, while tending his father-in-law flock of sheep in the Midianite wilderness, suddenly comes upon a bush fully engulfed in flame and yet miraculously intact. The miracle is quickly revealed as an angel of God speaking to the flame, but the Christian desert hermits later inhabiting that same wilderness, the burning bush became a symbol of Jesus himself, all flame yet perfectly intact within his finite container. And there were those among the desert fellowship who yearned for that some incandescent ground. In one of the most famous of the desert parables, Abba Lot went to Abba Joseph and said to him, "Abba, as far as I can say, I say my little I fast a little, I pray and meditate, I live in peace, and as far as I can, I purify my thoughts. What else can I do?" Then the old man stood up and stretched his hands towards heaven. His fingers became like 10 lamps of fire, and he said to him, "If you will, you become a flame." Would it be possible for us to become our flame? Could our own lives become such a profusion of infinite love and infinite form that light would pour around our bridge and as an act of physical radiance? I have indeed seen this light in more than a few realized masters toward the end of their earthly journeys. It is the fully revealed mystery of human life lived as conscious sacrament. How we get there is the secret Jesus will unfold for us through the course of his own consciously sacramental life. But our first step in joining him on this journey is to recognize that his incarnation is not about foul, guilt, or blame, but about goodness, solidarity, and our own intimate participation in the mystery of love at the heart of all creation. That's it. Just one more reading of the wisdom of Jesus.